Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Its annual lecture in memory of an outstanding journalist, Rajendra Mathur, is an event that calls for reflection, introspection, and reorientation, that aims at putting the role of editors and the nature of journalism in the right perspective. Sri Rajendra Mathur was a professor in English in an Indore college when he started writing in the then pioneering Hindi paper Nai Duniya. He made such a mark that he was invited to take charge as the editor in his first journalistic job itself. From Indore he moved to Navbharat Times, which he edited from 1982 until his untimely death in the year 1991. Sri Rajendra Mathur, though a professor of English language and literature, opted for Hindi journalism. I am told that his aim was to reach out to the masses and create an environment which inspires and encourages professionalism. He was successful to the extent that he inspired his readers to voice. Many a times he took upon himself to write such letters and inspire people, thereby creating a class of citizen journalists, a phrase that gained currency much later. Sri Mathur was known for his dedication. He continuously strove towards bringing out reader-friendly, content-rich, and thought-provoking pieces on the issues of contemporary relevance. A storehouse of knowledge, he was a democratic editor, unassuming yet firm in his commitment towards journalism and freedom of press. He was the first editor who broke the myth that an editor's job is only professed by writing editorials, sitting comfortably in an ivory tower. He created a new style of Hindi journalism, writing, incorporating many colloquial words from the Malabar region, as also other regional streams that are used extensively today. During the emergency in 1975, he was one of the few editors who aggressively opposed press censorship. He was a visionary who would see through the things and interpret the approaching trends objectively. Back in 1990, when the first Gulf War took place and socialism was yet in the reckoning, he wrote an article in which he established that there is no alternative to capitalism. I would like to quote an excerpt. Does it not trouble you to think that in the coming future only capitalism will rule with all its weakness and problem, its conflicts and contradictions, yet there will be no alternative to it, unquote. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, freedom of the press is among the many freedoms that for all democracies must strive hard to propagate, preserve, and protect. Democracy without a free press is like a blank piece of paper. The history of the press in India bears the testimony to the fact that its pioneers created strong and durable institutions as well as traditions. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our inheritance and we must build on it. It is incumbent upon you as society of newspapers, periodicals and media organizations to weed out such aberrations as might have crept in the society of newspapers. It is incumbent upon you as society of newspapers, periodicals and media organizations to weed out such aberrations as might have crept in the functioning of media. It is distressing how some publications these days have resorted to paid news and other such marketing strategies to drive their revenues earning. There is a need for self-correcting mechanism to check such irregularities. The temptation to dump down news should also be resisted. Today, the nation faces critical challenges that go well beyond the measures of breaking news and immediate headlines in a discourse alternatively dominated by social media. While you must continue to be effective recounters, you must never lose sight for the singular talisman of truth and nothing but facts. You are, after all, the crystal ball that millions of Indians gaze at. It is your responsibility and your bounden duty to ensure that ideas are debated dispassionately and thoughts articulated without fear or favor, so that opinion is always well informed. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the influence, credibility and quality of our media is well recognized. You must be keeping of the conscience of our country. You have to be active participants in our continuing endeavor to nurture a democratic republic committed to achieving justice, fundamental freedoms for all citizens. Journalism must bring to public notice an array of ills and deprivations that continue to beset large number of people, be it malnourishment, continuance of discriminatory practice against societies, against sections of societies, or the ongoing crisis, or the burdens of tragic consequences of indebtedness. They must shape and influence public opinion even as they provide objective and balanced coverage in the news. Having said that, I will be failing in my duties as an Indian citizen if I do not point out that all is not well in the media industry itself. Selective, orchestrated, one-sided, out of context, or motivated reporting and display aimed at pursuing a particular agenda of one group or the other cannot or should not be the nature and character of journalism. Whatever is one's personal belief, faith, or ideological posturing, journalism, like civil servants, can never let their biases color the news that is being reported. We are living in times when essential distinction between views and news opinions and objectivity is fast blurring. While media organization cannot compromise in their basic role of watchdogs of our society, polity and economy, at the same time they cannot criticize just for the sake of criticism. Similarly, in the name of highlighting the positive news, they cannot become the mouthpiece of the government or the corporate house. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the media has an important role to play in cleansing public life. However, to undertake this role, the conduct of the media itself should be above board. It must be always kept in mind that ends and means are both important. The highest standards of ethics must be maintained at all times. Sensationalization should not become a substitute of objective assessment and truthful reporting. Gossip and speculation should not replace hard facts. Every effort should be made to ensure that political or commercial interests are not passed off as legitimate and independent opinion. Integrity and independence are two sides of the same coin, and both must be equally important for our media and for every one of us. There should be recognition that the media is accountable to its readers and viewers at large, and through them to the entire nation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the press and the media are considered to be the fourth pillar of democracy. It wields extraordinary powers of not only holding the other three pillars accountable, but also influencing and shaping public opinion like no other institution or democracy can. While the enormous power to sustain itself requires the basic dictum of freedom of expression, at the same time it puts an equal enormous responsibility of accountability and credibility on the media itself. To my mind, while the press will be failing in the duty if it does not pose questions to the powers that be, it will have to simultaneously judge the frivolous from the factual and publicity from reportage. This is tremendous challenge for the media and one that must stand up to. It must resist the temptation to take the path of least resistance, which is to allow a dominant viewpoint to prevail without questioning it or allowing others opportunities to question it. Media must learn the art of withstanding pulls and pressures as also inducements without sacrificing its commitment to free and fair reportage, and always remain on guard against conformity, because any tendency towards conformity to be enforced often requires disguising or disassembling the truth and the facts. This is completely aligned to the ethics of the professional journalism. The question that faces all of us, including the media, is whether we will choose to define ourselves as a nation enriched by the diversity of views, or allow partisan views to dominate our national narrative. We ought to remember that democracy will be the loser when and if we cease to beat voices other than our own. I am reminded of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, once who observed, while speaking on the subject, and I quote, "In a democratic setup, must have freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of association, and all kinds of freedom," unquote. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for centuries, India has witnessed an interplay, synthesis, and adoption of civilizations and philosophies, and emerging through it all to grow into the world's largest functional democracy. As we go forward as a nation, we face contradictory forces. On the one hand, is a country with immense potential for growth and potentiality and prosperity. On the other hand, its growing sense of unequal distribution of resources and opportunities. The media should reflect both and equal measures, but it can only do so if truthfully reflects the reality on the ground. Such a reality is contested since from different points of view jostle to the heart. Will the media give a hearing to the voices from ground zero? Will it continue to be a forum where people debate, disagree, dissent, and decide? In conclusion, let me remind that one of the most prolific and influential journalists as well as publishers of our nation was Mahatma Gandhi. His thoughts on journalism are most illuminating and must guide our media. Gandhiji wrote, "In my experiments with truth," and I quote, "the sole aim of journalism should be service. The newspaper press is a great power, but just as an unchained torrent of water submerges whole countrysides and devastates crops, even so, an uncontrolled pain serves but to destroy. If the control is from without, it proves more poisonous than want of control. It can be profitable only when exercised from within, not from outside." He further said, "Week after week, I poured out my soul in its columns and expounded the principles and practice of Satyagraha as I understood it. I cannot recall a word in these articles set down without thought or deliberation, or a word of conscious exaggeration, or anything merely to please. Indeed, the journal became for me training in self-restraint, and for friends a media through which to keep touch with my thoughts," unquote. If the media believe in the freedom of the expression, a free and fearless independent media, as Sri Mathur did, it must choose to reflect a plurality of opinions, for that is what breathes life into our democracy and has defined us as Indians. When I shut my eyes and think of India, it comes to my mind a landmass of 3.3 million square kilometers, a population of 1.3 billion, in our everyday life, practicing 7 major religions, in our daily life, using 122 languages, 1600 dialects, yet under one constitution, one system, and with one identity, that is India, that is Bharatiya. That identity can never be lost, can never be allowed to be destroyed. And if we destroy it, there will be nothing left what is known as India. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.